Hey everyone, just want to give you a quick look at what my day looks like when I'm not out shooting. A typical day for me consists of editing, pre production, Zoom calls with clients, that sort of thing. And this is just a behind the scenes look of what my day looks like. This is my office, nothing fancy, just a spare bedroom that I use to store all my stuff. And I have a couple computers in here. And this is typically where I get most of my work done, is in this office. And it's nice now that my kids are in school, it's a little bit quieter. Usually I'm wearing a pair of noise canceling headphones or something like that just to really be able to focus. So I had some equipment rentals go out the other day for I think it was probably like 3 or 4 day rental. But here is the package that I had put together. It's a 2 camera FS5 package, and I rent out some gear. Obviously, I try to keep enough gear just in case I get a last minute shoot, but I will rent out equipment, especially if I don't have a lot going on right now. If people need equipment, I'll definitely be able to accommodate. But this is kind of the package that I rented out for someone who was doing like a multicam shoot. Consisted of 2 FS5 bodies, and I try to keep everything pretty organized and labeled. I put color tape on all the components for this camera, and then a different color tape for the other camera, and I kind of have it sectioned off. So this is like the build for this camera, and that's the build for the other camera. And then in the middle, I have like monitors and things like that. These are the FS5 stock monitors and viewfinder things. And then I have, let's see, I think these are Atomos recorders. This is the Shogun. Yeah, the Shogun Inferno. I also include some media if they need media. So this one, I think they requested like a 7-inch monitor because they're doing like a multicam thing. And then I have lensing. I had two 50 to 100s, and I also included another lens in this case here. But yeah, I just make sure all the AC power for monitors and cameras are in here, batteries and all that. I think 4 batteries in this package, audio handle, that sort of thing. Also some like rigging for the monitors. And I also try to include a little diagram of what it should look like when it's packed. Just because when you have so many components, I know it gets a little tricky, especially after a shoot, trying to figure out where everything goes. And this one's so specific that it really has to be packed in a certain way, or else it's just not going to fit. So I printed out a little diagram, and I just keep it in this case. I should probably laminate it so I can reuse it for another shoot. In case this is a pretty common package that I rent out, just a 2 camera thing in a Pelican case like this. So yeah, I'll probably laminate that at some point. And then this was the other part of the rental. It was a Sigma, I think 60 to 600 or something like that. In this case here, and then I have batteries for the monitors. These are just NPF Sony batteries, a bunch of those. Charger for the Sony batteries. And then this was just lens support and rigging. I included some rails. They weren't 100% certain they were going to use this lens, but I just wanted to make sure they had the right rigging to put it on one of the FS5s. just because this lens is so big, you really need a rail support and all that. So I have that in this case here. And yeah, those were the two items that just were returned, I think, yesterday. And I don't rent out a ton of stuff, but it does help. You know, it's nice when your cameras can get you somewhat of a day rate and you're not even working. I just had someone come pick them up, and then they used it for their shoot and returned it. So yeah, if you guys don't rent out your equipment, I totally get it, because I baby my equipment. But these are things that I don't use every day, but I always run the risk of, if a shoot pops up, then I have to rent cameras or use FS5s or whatever I have to make the shoot work. But yeah, it's definitely a good way to bring in some more income. My insurance premiums do go up a little bit because I am renting out equipment. So that part, you kind of have to weigh it out. If you are going to rent equipment out, that you accommodate for your insurance quotes being a little bit higher. But yeah, it's not that big of a deal if you plan on actually renting equipment out. I think it's definitely worth it. The only thing I really don't rent out is my van. That I usually try to be included on the shoot, even if I'm just like a grip or a PA, you know, something. But I just don't rent this guy out by itself. And I think that's kind of nice too, because I can just show up to a shoot and have all the equipment ready to go. They don't have to come pick it up and that sort of thing, or drop it off. They don't have to worry about the pains of renting. I just show up with everything they need, and then they pay a little extra for a day rate. But I think that's a pretty fair deal. So this is a look at kind of my setup. It's pretty messy right now, but I'm just keeping it real. Yeah, I have a Mac Studio Ultra as kind of my main computer there. My editing station. I used to have one of those trash can Macs, but I retired that about a year ago, and I upgraded to this guy here with the M2 chip or M1 chip, silicone chip, whatever it is. But that's my main computer. And then on this guy, I have a Mac Mini under there. I also have a custom built PC that no longer really sees any action. I mostly edit everything off of Mac. I was a big PC guy for a while, but when Apple started coming out with some better products, then I switched back. But yeah, I keep the PC around just in case I need anything done with like Windows or whatnot. I have my Mac Mini connected to like a Dropbox, and that's going into a RAID drive, and that's where I mostly collect a lot of new projects, is via Dropbox. I have a couple of clients that will send me over footage via Dropbox. And then I have this guy hardwired too. So pretty much any new Dropbox project I get goes straight to one of my RAIDs, and then I can access it on this computer as well. I have a ton of hard drives. I mean, these are just current projects I'm working on. Then I have a RAID drive here. I think that's like 24 terabytes. Another RAID drive there. Another RAID drive here. This guy is a little bit older, but I still think it's like 24 terabytes or something like that. So lots of storage, and these are just current hard drives. A couple of other hard drives. Then my closet is just jam-packed with archive projects and whatnot. And I usually have the light for when I do like Zoom calls or whatnot, for pre-production or just Zoom calls in general. I have a little webcam here that I'll set up right in the middle so it looks like I'm looking at the person. And I have a microphone here, little softbox there, and then the rest of the clutter is mostly just camera equipment. um, some of the stuff I'm trying to fix. I have a teleprompter that I'm trying to fix. A couple parts were broken off of it. And then just a couple of cables that aren't working that I'm trying to fix as well. And yeah, there's a ton of stuff. It's just super cluttery right now. I've had a couple different productions um, wrap up, so I'm trying to organize before I store it in my shop. This light was broken. Was able to fix it. The mount was not working correctly. So yeah, this is kind of the the graveyard section of equipment that I'll eventually get around to fixing. And then yeah, camera packages, more camera packages, audio, all that stuff. And then yeah, just some basic tools that I use to do repairs and whatnot. I have a bunch of these little Sony batteries, but I never really use them. I like the bigger ones better. So these all just kind of don't get used. I should probably sell them if I'm not going to use them. Yeah, I have like a bunch of them, like I want to say 10 of the little ones, but I just prefer the bigger capacity batteries. So usually when I'm editing an interview, the first thing I do is I work on story. So all these cuts here are just kind of sucking out the in-between with the questions. So I think this was like a 30-minute or so interview that I kind of just got rid of all the excess, all the fat, and then just these are just the sound bites that equal about 15 minutes. And I have to get this video down to maybe 3 or 4. So next step usually is I'll go through all the answers to the questions, and then I'll just start making a storyline based off of that that will fit kind of in a 3-4 minute video. So some of these questions are like repeat answers and whatnot, but that's kind of my first process with editing a story, is going through the interview. And then obviously I make another timeline with B-roll and that sort of thing. And I'll go through that later. Once I have the story established on a timeline, then I'll go through and look for B-roll that matches that storyline. So I'll maybe like write down a few key things to look out for when I am going through B-roll. But B-roll for me is like the last step. I usually try and get the story down first. And then once that is clean, then I'll focus on B-roll. But yeah, I'm not sure how other people do it. That's just what works best for me, is focusing on story first and then B-roll. Usually I have music in story first and then B-roll, so that way I can make sure the B-roll cuts match with the music and the story and whatnot. But yeah, that's the process. So I have a shoot coming up early September, traveling to Oregon. I'm trying to book some local crew, G&E package, maybe a jib operator and owner. So it's always so much that goes into pre-production for some bigger shoots that I have coming up. Just takes a long time, lots of hours spent in trying to figure out location. I don't have anyone full time to kind of do pre-production, so I'm usually the one doing it for bigger shoots. But trying to look at flights, I usually go with Southwest. That's my airline of choice. I've been flying with them for like 10 years. So I usually try to go with them, but they have no good flights going into PDX. So I think I'm going to have to be stuck with American, which I'm not too happy about. I feel like I've missed so many flights and delayed flights and whatnot with Southwest. I know they had that big like fiasco during travel season last year, but honestly, I can't even remember one flight that was canceled. I've had maybe like a handful of delayed flights, but never a cancellation on Southwest. But I've had like 20 or 30 with American or United, and it just left such a bad taste in my mouth. And honestly, there's barely any room for margin when it comes to shoots. So time is definitely money, and I can't be stuck, at an airport for the night. So that's why I've always went with Southwest. I've never had any issues. And this is just my experience. I've heard other people having horror stories, but I can only base my opinion off of my experience. And honestly, with the amount of travel I've done over the years, Southwest has definitely been my go-to. So I'm on my way to a filmmaker meetup here locally in Little Rock, Arkansas. This is the very first one that we've ever done. So I'm excited to possibly meet some new people or some people that I've known online and I've just never met them in person. I'm excited just to connect with some new faces and some old faces as well. A lot of the people that I work with will be there. I'm not quite sure what to expect. There could be, 3 people or there could be 20. So that's kind of exciting. This is our very first one, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm about 35 minutes away from Little Rock, so I'm trying to leave with plenty of time to get there. I might have to stop for gas. Not quite sure, but yeah, it's gonna be cool. I've never been to this Lost 40 Brewing Company. I've heard good things about it, so we'll see how it goes. I'm also very excited for the meetup in Dallas with David Moorfield kind of hosting that event. That's going to be amazing. I'm already looking at like hotels in that area. I'll probably drive up and then stay the night of the event, stay the night, and then drive home the following morning. But yeah, I'm excited to meet with a lot of filmmakers in Dallas. I know that's a kind of far drive for some people, but honestly, being only 4 hours away, I've definitely traveled longer distances for work. So I'd be excited to network with some people, and if they ever have a large scale project and they need someone, I would definitely make the drive out there, and work as like kind of a local, as long as the day rate and all that was good. And even if I was able to add some equipment to the invoice, that would be great as well, and it would probably make it worth my while for sure. Video for my blog.
Mine's empty. Look at this place, it's packed.
All with
I haven't even
filmmakers.
got to talk to everyone, but we've got loads of filmmakers here in Little Rock.